Hey folks, how are you doing today? Hope everybody is doing good. Hope your families are also doing good and staying safe in these times that we're going through right now. Please hit up that like button, hit up that subscription button, folks. I'm trying to get to that 1,000 subscriber mark before the end of this year, you know what I'm saying? So please hit up that subscription button, hit that notification bell so that you can get notified when I upload a video. Alright, folks. Today I want to talk about a situation that I think got me wondering if we're really committed to getting out of the situation that we're in. It got me wondering, are we really serious about our liberation? Before we do that, let's lay the groundwork. Let's talk about Dr. Arikana Chihombori-Quao. I hope I pronounced the last part of her name correctly. I always have trouble with that part of her name. But anyway, most of you must know who I'm talking about. And if you don't know, just look her up and I'm sure you'll be interested in some of the things that she had to say. Dr. Arikana is a very pro-African, a Pan-Africanist, I would say. I think she would say that too. Last year she was the African Union representative to the United States. She was the ambassador to the United States. And last year, I came to know her from some statements that she had made about France and their impact on Africa. I think the statements that she has made opened the eyes of a lot of Black people, especially in America. There was a lot of things that she discussed that I was aware of, but in terms of the details, I was lacking in that department. For example, the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. Did you hear that? The Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. That's a document that some African countries had to sign back in the 60s to get France to pretend like they gave up control, because they didn't really give up control. But that's what they had to sign back then. And also, another thing that she talked about was the Berlin Conference, that meeting that they divided Africa into small countries without the presence of any African leaders. So the Europeans got together, divided up Africa amongst themselves. She also spoke of the 20 plus assassination and coups of African leaders that France was a part of. And I'm sure there are documents out there that you can look up to verify those things. One of the most pressing and disturbing thing that she discussed was the fact that France was taking over $500 billion out of Africa every year. Between those francophone, so-called francophone countries that they colonized. And here we are. What I notice is the African leaders, the studies that they've done show that African leaders and businesses, through illicit financial flows, take, they say, 50 billion out of Africa combined, but yet we are focused on the African leaders. And I think that's probably what got her sacked from the AU, is the fact that now the whole world is now looking at France with a side eye.
As if it wasn't bad enough that we were divided up into the tiny little countries that we are today. The gift that Berlin Conference gave us. One other thing that France did between 1958 and 1961 in the name of giving us our independence as African countries. France forced the Francophone, and I hate that terminology. There is no such thing as Francophone, Anglophone. They made it up. But for the purposes of communication, I will use that. 14 of those countries, they said, in order for you to get your independence from us, you must sign this document. You thought they could have found a better name for the document. The document was called the Pact for the Continuation. I repeat, the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. We are talking about giving you independence, but sign this pact for the continuation of colonization in a different format. And I'm going to highlight some of those issues that they said you must agree to if you are going to be independent. Hello. Maybe we need to redefine the meaning of independence for the French. First, France said, you see, you monkeys, you don't know how to manage your money. We're going to demand that you deposit 85% of your bank reserves with the French Minister of Finance. Under the French Central Bank, under the control of the French Minister of Finance. France is then going to take your 85% bank deposits from each and every one of you. Deposit those funds in the French stock market under the French name. And you may or may not know the returns. Today, as we speak, the latest figures are saying for every 14 billion that France invests in the stock market from Africa, they are realizing upwards of 300 billion in return. Every year in, year out, because of these deposits from the African countries, France is taking out of Africa over $500 billion. Now figure it out. For every 14 billion, the returns on the investment are over 300 billion, and they are taking over 500 billion. So in actuality, France is taking out of Africa trillions of dollars year in and year out from us poor people, Africans.
Dr. Arikana seems to be very passionate about bringing the diaspora together in order to help develop Africa. She understands that the diaspora has to be a part of developing the continent on a whole. In my opinion, she was doing an excellent job with carrying out her mandate to reach out to the diaspora, and I think it was working. Because for the time that she has been in there, I mean, I think a lot of people actually found out what that AU was and what they were about. So that's, and you can tell that by the fact that when she was fired from the AU, a lot of people were upset, and they were giving it to the folks that let her go online and petitions and all of that stuff that was going on was because that tells you that she was doing the job that she was put there to do. But I have another angle to that firing. I think it was bittersweet, because to me it kind of was a blessing in disguise, because now she is making moves in other way that I think is gonna be crucial for the development of Africa. So I mean, if I was a fly on the wall somewhere, maybe I would have heard that, you know, those African leaders actually planned this, because I think it's worked perfectly. It's kind of sad, or you know, when somebody gets sacked from a position, but and around the circumstances, but at the same time, it could be God's work, because God has a better plan. And for me, it's a better plan, because the movement that she's a part of now, she has the following and the support to get a lot of things done in Africa. And I think this is a game changer. What she's doing right now has the capability to be a game changer for the continent in terms of connecting the diaspora and bringing in the investments through the diaspora, connecting them with the different governments in order to build the continent. The website is called ouraddi.org. ouraddi.org. ADDI stands for African Diaspora Development Institute. And if we as a people come together and support this organization, we could cut around a lot of the nonsense that has been going on for centuries, in terms of the billions of dollars that was donated through all those NGOs and those charity organizations that to be honest, now we can see the agenda, because they deliberately underdevelop Africa so that they can do whatever they want, steal the resources, you know, create conflicts and do all kind of guinea pig testings on the continent. The amount of money that these guys received in support of Africa, there should be a road right now from Cape to Cairo, from all those charities that they have received. There should be electricity for all the people of Africa right now, right? With all the resources that is in Africa. Think about it. Look at Akon, right? The musician. Well, if you don't know who Akon is, then you got an issue. But Akon has a program called Akon Lighting Africa. And look at what he's done in this short period of time that he has been there. In that short period of time, he has brought electricity to millions of people across the continent. So this is why I say, if these folks were interested in helping Africa, right, they could have done it.
You know, and around this time last year is when, you know, your African Initiative Power, it got announced and everything, but, you know, a lot of people would say it got derailed because of the whole Caitlyn Jenner situation. Like Snoop Dogg even took a meme and gave you headlines at the same time. How did that make you feel? Did you feel like it had its proper rollout when you first debuted it?
Actually, I was actually cool with that. You know, I felt like that situation actually brought more light to it rather than derailed it, you know. So it was a blessing for me, honestly. Me getting into it wasn't really more for the publicity aspect of it. That's why I never really said anything about it. I just did it. And I think, with the grace of God, it was a situation that was, I guess, meant to be known that it was happening. And I think situations like that, oftentimes, are blessings more so than, curses,
Absolutely, absolutely. But we're here now, and we do want to get the full comprehensive story, exactly what is this initiative. So how did it start? When did it come about? Like, you were home and, you said Africans need power, or, how did how did it begin?
Well, actually, me myself, I grew up, without electricity, clean running water, the basic necessities. I came up in a village in Kaolack in Senegal. And I was one of those, nappy-headed, African kids running around playing soccer barefooted. You know what I'm saying? Just enjoying life as is and not realizing how much of an impact electricity was to me because I didn't have it. So I was happy as it was, but then when I moved to the States and got the experience and was able to really understand what that was, you know what I mean? What electricity was and how much impact it did have in my life. Going back home, it was almost like I felt naked. You know what I mean? It was like literally, you know what I mean? So it was one of the things where a lot of things that I had enjoyed doing in the States, I just couldn't do. A lot of things that I needed to be done also just wasn't happening. So fast forward 15 years, 20 years down the line, went home to my old neighborhood to visit my grandma, and the situation is still the same. Same village, no development, no electricity, and you know how it is to be living in 210, 213 with no electricity. It's almost impossible, so I just really wanted them to be able to experience what that life was.
And how exactly are you guys bringing power? Like, did you have to get like a whole electrician license? Did it have to be sanctioned by the government? How is this going about? Did you have to outsource contractors?
Yeah, so, of course, the way our project works, we are working with the government because we want to be able to do it on a scale basis.
Lighting Africa.
And it's Lighting Africa, Akon Lighting Africa. And the whole concept of it is to be able to electrify the rural areas, for as far as out to where the grid doesn't reach. And of course, in Africa, sun is limitless. Like, that's our biggest resource. So there's no way you not use that sun to bring energy. So solar became the main focus of how we would be able to bring energy into those areas. So we created a PPP, a public-private partnership with the government where you can bring private investors in, the government subsidized, and then the people also have an access to be able to come in and invest. You know what I mean? So it actually works out where everyone is held accountable. People are helped in the process of investors being able to make their money back.
Gotcha. And you and your team are overseeing the whole process?
Yeah, our team is pretty much overseeing the whole process.
Gotcha. Now, Africa is, renowned as a continent that hosts a lot of other third world countries, but it also is, the birthplace of some of the most intelligent people on earth. You're obviously a living example. Where's the disconnect in that?
The disconnect is simple and plain. It's just education. I think more about Africa needs to be pretty much put out there. People need to educate themselves more about Africa. I don't think it's up to the school systems to per se do it. It's up to the person to want to know their history, understand their origin and things of that nature. And I think we get to the point where some things just don't really matter until you understand the base and the root of where it came from. And then you start to better understand the challenges that you're facing, the situations that we may go through, your advancements and certain qualities and certain auras and patterns. All this come from your history, And I think the more you get to understand yourself, the origin of in which you came from, you get to better understand how even your future should be displayed.
But this is proof that they didn't have any interest in developing Africa, because it's better for them to have the countries in conflict and underdeveloped, so they can take what they want without being held accountable. And I know some of you are going to talk about African leaders are corrupt, but I want you guys to think for a second. Forget that stuff. A lot of them were under duress. They were under pressure. I'm not saying I'm defending corruption or unethical behavior. I'm not saying that, not at all. What I'm saying is we need to take our focus off those people though that can be changed. You can move as many African leaders as you want, but if you don't fix the root issue, guess what? You're right back where you started. And the root issue is the interference from outside. It won't take much research for you to find the good leaders and what happened to them in the past. Back to our ADDI.org. On the site, they have area for you to donate. They have different things that you can donate to. And I went on the site, and here's the thing that caught my attention and got me to the point where I'm thinking, are we really ready? And do we really want to get out of the situation that we're in? And on the legacy project, when you go to donate, right, they have a legacy project which is pretty much bridging the gap between African diaspora youth and Africa. And out of $1 million that they're trying to raise, right, they have raised a whopping, wait for it, $1,664. To me, that is pathetic. That is pathetic. I mean, I'm not sure what that is about. Is it that people don't know about it? Is it that they don't trust the website yet to donate money? I can tell you folks, I have donated to them before, and I haven't had any issues. You know, I donated to them. The money came out of my account. You know, I use PayPal, and I had no issues. So if you're thinking about trusting the website, well, I did, and it worked perfectly fine for me. And with the amount of people that has watched her videos and her speeches and been to her events, if all of you guys donated $10, they would have reached that $1 million mark and more. So I don't understand why a movement like this would have such a hard time raising $1 million for a project that is so critical. So folks, if you're watching this, you are a part of the African diaspora. Go to our ADDI.org and click on and donate something. I'm sure most of us have donated to charity before, but this is a new day. This is a new breed, new life for us, and we have to be a part of it in whatever way we can. And this site and the information that's there and the what they're working towards, I think, is a great thing. And I mean, if you go to the website and sign up and you register as, you know, whatever it is that you do, you're a contractor, you're a builder, you build roads, you build airports, you whatever profession you're in, the goal is to have people registered, because she's in talks with the leaders of the continent. So now the leaders will have a pool of people to draw from to give them the first right of refusal for the contracts to build the continent. So and the thing is, if you check the top 10 fastest growing economies in the world, more than 50% of them are African countries, folks. So let me tell you this is where the next frontier is. This is where the growth is going to be. And if the diaspora don't take part in it, then you have nothing or no one to blame. And I think we're gonna be a part of this. It's gonna happen, right? I'm speaking it into existence. It's gonna happen in my mind. It is already happening, right? So if you are a person who's listening to this and you haven't gotten involved, find a way to get involved. You don't need to pack up and go to Africa. You understand me? You can connect without having to go there. Right now, the people who are more critical for the continent are the people who have the means to and the finances to help develop the continent, right? If you can't afford to go there and sustain yourself, then I think you should pretty much stay where you are and just go for a visit or something. But the people who have the means to develop should take part, right? Because you in a country that's in a developmental stage like that, you don't want to go there and be a burden on their system. You understand what I'm saying? So here, folks, is your chance to show or to put your money where your mouth is, because people are always telling us that we don't work together, and we've heard that so much that we've actually believed it. Because every time I talk to people, this is the stuff they keep repeating. Oh, black people don't work together. Everybody else work together, but black people don't work together. But your opportunity is here to prove yourselves wrong and get involved in the development of a continent that you need to defend you worldwide. Because globally we're in the same position, the same situation. And here is your opportunity to put, like I said, put your money where your mouth is and work together with this wonderful and passionate lady. China went from where they were, right, when they had all they had to offer the West was cheap labor. They held their heads down and they built. And in less than 30 years, look where they went from to where they are today. Africa can be that. Africa will be that, actually. Africa will be that. The only question is, will you be a part of it? Will you be a part of it? And it's not for you or for me. It's for your kids' kids, your grandkids and their grandkids. That's who this is for. That's who this is for. That's how everybody else think. Everybody else is jockeying for position for their own people. And it seems like we're the only ones who just want to sit back and let other people control our destiny. We need to stop that, folks. It stops. And you have to see it, that this is the time for us to take a stand and develop the continent where our foreparents came from, right? Develop that continent or help it to develop. Put those blinders on and say, hey, I'm not there, but I'm going to help it to develop. And start trusting our own people to take care of things. And stop expecting people to be perfect. Nobody on this earth is perfect. But most other people support their own. And that is one of the things that we're lacking. We're lacking in our trust for each other. And, we all understand where that comes from. So it is incumbent upon us to see that, acknowledge that, and work towards changing that for the future. Not today, but 10, 15, 20, 100 years down down the road. So folks, like I said, put your money where your mouth is. Support our ADDI.org. And in future videos, I will show you other ways that you can support Africa. There's a lot of people now who are doing things and to help develop the continent, right? But you have to look for those things. Those things won't show up in mainstream media because guess what? Africa doesn't really control mainstream media, and mainstream media is controlled by certain people, and those people really cater to themselves. They give you a little bit, but they pretty much cater to themselves, and that is human nature, folks. That is human nature. We need to start catering for ourselves. Doesn't mean that we have to go out and repeat what they did to us, right? We're not gonna do that because that's not who we are. But we're gonna have to take a stand. Take a stand. Support our own so we can move forward and send our kids forward with a better world for us, with the root, strong root, a strong defender for our people. And that's why I say, folks, it's unity or else.